Thank you, Madam Secretary General, for your inspiring address. We are really proud to have Envoy on Youth, who has been working to expand the UN's youth engagement and advocacy efforts across all 4 pillars of work: sustainable development, human rights, peace and security, and humanitarian action. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Jayathma.
Thank you, Maisha. Excellencies, Your Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen, and most importantly, my dear friends. As a daughter of the Commonwealth, it gives me a great pleasure to address you here today at the opening of the Commonwealth Youth Forum 2018. It's humbling to remember in 2013 how I volunteered as a student to organize the 9th Commonwealth Youth Forum in my home country, Sri Lanka, and 5 years down the lane to stand here and speak to you as the United Nations Secretary General's Envoy on Youth. On behalf of the entire UN system and my Secretary General, thank you for the support you've extended to the United Nations and for recognizing as an important partner in the work that you do. As the Secretary General's Envoy on Youth, I am tasked to channel youth issues and perspectives across all 4 pillars of UN's work, as Mahisha said. Sustainable development, human rights, peace and security, and humanitarian action by bringing the United Nations closer to young people and bringing you, young people, closer to the UN. In doing so, I cannot simply fulfill my role without the support of you, the young people of the Commonwealth, who account for 1.2 billion of the world's youth population. Demographic and development realities make us, the generation of our time, what I like to call the SDG generation. A generation that has unyielding energy, produces new ideas, and possesses refreshing optimism, as it was said this morning over and over again. And a generation that naturally engages with all actors across all sectors, including in politics, academia, and civil society. Given our sheer numbers, connectivity, and ability to bring positive change, we can be the first generation to end poverty and the last generation to reverse climate change. This year's theme of the Youth Forum, Powering a Common Future, illustrates the powerful potential that young people have in shaping the future of the Commonwealth and beyond. And as active drivers of change in your communities, organizations, and networks, you truly embody this idea. The fact that you are here, along with hundreds of other youth delegates from across the Commonwealth, means that you share a passion for working with others to develop innovative solutions to the global challenges we face. But being here is not enough. If the conversations stay within these walls, they will have no impact. So you have an important task of bringing youth voices to the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting this week. That is what I like to talk about today, why representation and meaningful youth inclusion is important to create a more prosperous, secure, sustainable, and most importantly, just and fair future for all. I truly believe the strength of the Commonwealth, like the UN, is in its extraordinary diversity. 53 member states spanning 6 continents constitute an amazing tapestry of different stories, cultures, languages, and geographies weaved together by common fundamental values. Inspired by the bitter experiences of our colonial histories, a shared commitment to democracy, equality, human rights, and the rule of law. However, the current pace of progress is insufficient to fully meet this commitment. There are still high levels of inequality within and among the countries of the Commonwealth. While some high-income countries economically thrive, others struggle to deliver basic services to their citizens. Extreme weather conditions, rising sea levels, and changes to agriculture associated with climate change are forcing our people to leave their homes. 89% of Commonwealth countries still have laws that actively discriminate against women and girls. On top of that, we live in times where polarizing politics is dividing our societies. Fake news is spreading. The space for civil society is shrinking, and multilateralism is on the firing line. The answer to all these challenges, I firmly believe, is to increase democratic conversation and political inclusion, especially of young people. We must break the trust deficit by demanding inclusion and actively contributing. If our inherent formal political institutions are not representative, let's carve out and create that space. But we must also not kid ourselves. We will never be able to bring everyone to these formal halls. To achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, we must be guided by the principle of leaving no one behind. We should innovate modalities for representation in order to include a broader diversity of perspectives. We must remember that by being here and contributing to these important conversations is not about being a voice to the voiceless, as it's often said. It is about making sure that our empowered voices do not overpower the voices of the most marginalized and the most vulnerable, who are experts on their own lives and lived realities. All over the world, young people are developing localized, community-led solutions and challenges that identify in their everyday lives. Although we steer our common efforts towards a global agenda, sustainable solutions are local and homegrown. For that reason, it's crucial that youth-led ideas and initiatives do not remain in a vacuum, but are brought to forums like the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, where the political influence and financing to elevate those solutions might inspire and do good elsewhere. Ladies and gentlemen, at the UN, we are working hard to create more avenues for young people to participate and give young people a seat at the decision-making table. It's not an easy task. From my personal experience, and especially as a young woman and a woman of color, I know that young people face setbacks in many situations, especially young women. Young voices are often left out or unheard, but it is possible to create change provided you are truly motivated and passionate. So to all my young friends in the room, on the day of my appointment, I met with the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, for the first time, and he had a very simple message for me as his envoy on youth. Misbehave, he said. That's right. Over these next couple of days and going forward, I want you all to misbehave too. Be bold in your advice, be unafraid to speak your mind. If we are not bringing new ideas to the table and not challenging the status quo, then we are not going to change anything at all. And to governments and other stakeholders present here today, young people will be the torchbearers of 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. This is not about handing us a privilege, but conceding to our right. Make no mistake, this is already happening. Young people are leading the charge, but we don't want to and cannot do it alone. After this week, I hope to see new and renewed commitments to invest in youth development and youth-led action, meaningful participation in key decision-making processes, and a recommitment to young people as important stakeholders and equal partners in their own countries and of the Commonwealth, and hopefully soon in the UN too. To find unity in diversity, we must come together and be reminded of what we share. A common vision of a prosperous, secure, sustainable, just, and a fair future of all. And who better to lead it than the young people in this room? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Jayathma, for your passionate address. Now, representing the young people of our host country, the UK, I am pleased to introduce Ms. Anna Barker, Chairperson of the British Youth Council, which is celebrating its 70th anniversary, marking decades of efforts in creating social and political change for the young people. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Anna Barker.